International Space Station by Miyuki Yamakawa. Why I chose this topic. The reason why I chose this topic is, one day when I was in 4th grade, and when I was going back home from school, I looked at the sky and wondered, what kind of spacecraft are there? Then at that night, I found out from Mom that there's this lunar spacecraft called the International Space Station. After hearing this, I wanted to learn more about it. So that's why I wanted to learn more about it. Then, when 5th grade came, Mrs. Hines told us that there's going to be this project called the ISB, where you could choose any topic you want and learn more about it. When I heard this, I thought it was a good time to learn more about the International Space Station. So that's why I chose this topic. What is ISS? An ISS is an internationally developed spacecraft that remains orbit around Earth. It is like a home where astronauts live. It's a science lab where you do all kinds of research. 15 different nations work together to build it, and they also use it together. It was made up of many small parts. Launching. It was first launched on November 20th, 1998. It was launched by using a Russian rocket called the Russian Proton rocket. In order to complete the whole ISS, you need to connect all the pieces from the Proton rocket together. It took about a total of 40 flights for the Proton rocket to connect all the pieces. The first two parts that was launched was the Russian module, which is called the Zarya, and the American module, which is called the Unity. This is a picture of Zarya, the Russian module, and Unity, the American module, being launched and connecting each other. Idea of launching. The main person and the company who thought of launching the ISS was, of course, the NASA official and also President Ronald Reagan. President Ronald Reagan is an important person who got the idea of building it. He even says a good speech to make the people agree on his ideas. ISS. Have you ever thought of why it is called the International Space Station? Well, the word international means different nations. So, the International Space Station was accomplished by 15 different countries. They are Belgium, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, Japan, Italy, Brazil, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, UK, USA, Canada, Spain, and France. Purpose. The purpose is so that they could find more things about space and how things affect in space where there is zero gravity. It is also to find out ways to go to Mars. The International Space Station is more like the next great adventure of space age. It is also finding peaceful time with former enemies. Just as the Apollo program put a man on the moon, the International Space Station is also a big engineering project that will keep lots of people in space with thousands of workers on Earth. Timeline. This is a timeline of how the ISS developed. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan asked the NASA to build a space station called Freedom. Then, in 1994, President Bill Clinton renamed it and relaunched it as the International Space Station. In December 1997, Russians started building their own module. Then, in November 20th, 1998, Zarya, the first Russian module, was launched by using a Proton rocket. In December 1998, Unity, the American module, was launched. Then, in between the late 1999 and the early 2002, the first crew for the ISS arrived at NASA. Then, in October 2002, the European Space Agency launched a new module. Then, finally, in December 2003, the whole ISS was completed and it became fully operated. Kibo. One of the Japanese modules that was recently launched was the module called Kibo. It was the first module the Japanese people made. In Japanese, Kibo means hope. It was made by JAXA. Kibo has 6 different components. A component is a part which is connected to the Kibo itself. Kibo focuses on space medicines. It is a room where 6 people can operate on different kind of experiments and activities which focuses on the medicines. The appearance and the parts of ISS. The ISS is made up of many different parts, and it is really heavy. For example, if a small passenger car weighs about 1 ton, International Space Station is 450 times more heavier than that car. 450 times heavier than that car. The ISS is similar to building a child's Lego, but except it is more of a serious work. They use lots of electricity from solar panels. The parts are called capsules. They are for experiments, storage, and more. The place where the crews live and work is called a habitat. Out of all these parts, the most important part of all is called the truss. A truss holds everything together. The crews use this truss to help themselves move from one place to another. Life in the ISS. In the ISS, the main thing is to stay healthy. In space, there is no gravity, so our crews have to exercise a lot every day. If they don't exercise, their muscles and bones will get weaker. They train for an average of 2 hours per day. They lift up some 200-pound thing to train themselves. On Earth, this might be really hard, but in space, it is really easy because there is no gravity. Just as in Earth, the people in space has 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are many kinds of food people could eat, such as nuts, peanut butters, beef, chicken, seafood, candies, brownies, and more. Drinks are lemonade, orange juice, coffee, and more. Foods such as ketchup, mustard, salt, and peppers are available only in liquid form. People cannot sprinkle salt and peppers because it flows easily. If they are in a liquid form, then it could cause a clog of air vent and it could get stuck into their nose and mouth. A favorite time, people doesn't live just for work. Once in a while, the crews look out the window, tease other members, and play with each other. All crews need a break. If they work without having any break, then it could cause stress to all the members. A favorite break time activity is to look out the window. The crews often comment on their outside view. On any days off, they like to watch movies, play games, read books, and talk to their family. Changes for the ISS. The people is trying to find out more ways to make the ISS better. Now, Canada is building a 55-foot-long robotic arm that helps and repairs the parts of the ISS. The European Space Agency is now trying to also make a new module that could help more on experiments and other activities. Biblical perspective. Just as in John chapter 1 verse 3, it says, "Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made." The International Space Station was made through God, and without him there wouldn't be anything that has been made, even the International Space Station. So every time we look at the International Space Station or other things, other creations, we should always remember that it was made through God, and we should always be thankful. Thank you for listening to my presentation.